Hello, back again with the next change to my pedal board. The change this time is, if you see the previous video, I was using my smartphone to control the pedal board mounted on a microphone stand. It works, but two problems. The screen soft switching is just not tactile enough or immediate enough to operate whilst you're playing. It's just another complication. Need something more tactile, and operating the phone through that kind of Bluetooth connection just goes through the batteries in no time. So the battery doesn't last, even though I've got it plugged into a charger up here and with a cable to the battery, it doesn't last. So and the reality is I don't need all the functionality on screen that the smartphone option can offer. I just need something simpler, more tactile. So what I've done is I've invented my own little remote control unit. It simply has an LCD screen, 4 buttons. This is a DIN connector. This is an 8-pin DIN connector. There's nothing clever about that. There's no duplexing or anything. That's just eight wires connected through that cable to a similar DIN connector that I've mounted up here, and that allows, I'll just plug that back in, that allows this unit to display messages on the 20x4 LCD screen and operate these 4 buttons mounted on the unit. It's mounted on the pedal board. So I'll just power up the pedal board. Watch the screen as I turn it on. There we are. The light's not doing me any favours there, but there we are. Now, what all this does is replicate the functions that are already on the pedal board. It replicates these up and down switches, and a couple other things that aren't on the pedal board, and it replicates the messages coming through the LCD display. Although this is a 16x2, which means I can't display as much as this unit, which has a 20 character by 4 row LCD, which means I'm able to display the current song, the song coming up, what the current DMX lighting control setting is, and any other message I want to put in there. That tells me what version of the Arduino file I'm using at the moment. So these functions, these have a few functions. I've got a combo switch function. So if I hold these 2 down, it takes me to the start of the set list. This button here scrolls up through the set list. Pretty Woman, you can see Brown Eyed Girl's going from being the next song to the current song. Should Have Known Better, Eagle Rock, La Bamba, etc, etc. The other button is scrolling down the list. That's simply it. This button here bypasses. So if for any reason I want to bypass the multi-effects unit, I can go back to using my, I guess you'd call them analog, but my couple of effects here, which means if something goes wrong or all of a sudden someone says let's play a song, I've got a choice of the valve overdrive, the transistor overdrive, and a little bit of modulation coming from amp switched reverb and tremolo. So yeah, that's good enough to just launch into a song of some sort. You can still always operate the wire as well. And if I want to go back, press bypass again, we come out of it. This DMX setting, if I just scroll up a few songs, you can see the third line there is telling me that's we have 2 lights, 2 DMX lights, and that's green, gold, flash, blue, silver, blue, blue, pink. But sometimes, I don't know why, the DMX controller that takes a signal from this MIDI signal from this port here just goes blank. It doesn't read, it doesn't work, it has some sort of issue. So when that happens, I can just press it twice then, sorry, this button and get the DMX default, which is just a chase a flashing chase, which is a good lighting effect, but just says it's just not going to be black. Quite often, when I set it to the default, then I switch it out again to whatever the setting is for that song, it actually makes the lights work the way they were intended to. So it's just a problem solver, really. And I've used this for a couple of gigs, and this works really well. I think it sort of solves basically all the problems. I keep thinking, oh, this is the final solution. That sounds a bit uncomfortable for some people from the middle of the 20th century, but I think this is getting to the point where, after all the iterations in the design, that I've gradually, I guess you call it proof of concept. I did all the huge number of switching and all the controls, and this was enormously complicated when I first started doing these videos, and over time I've just cut it down to the much simpler and functional, what I needed functionally, and what I need and what works live, and minimise the amount of thinking you have to do. A display with 4 buttons, you don't have to think about much more, especially if you're trying to play and sing and do whatever else is going on at a gig. So I think this is getting pretty close. I've sort of said I've said this before, but it's getting pretty close to what I think is the best solution for what I'm trying to do. It would be nice, I think, to have some kind of wireless control like this unit, but wireless needs power source. Power source means batteries run down and you're out of business. This is, I guess you call phantom powered, but this is taking its power from the power board. You don't have any batteries, so having wires is a more reliable solution. I don't know if this is also a button here which I've added a bit of hardware to the top of. So this is my solo button. So I have a solo setting, a patch for solo. So if I want to go into a solo, it's a big saturated overdrive with a bit of delay on it, and press it again and I'm back to the preset, whatever that set number was. That's about it. Bye.